Hey there, I'm teacher Jenny, and today I will be teaching you how to talk for 2 minutes in part 2 IELTS speaking. I have encountered this kind of question a lot of times. Every time I ask my students to describe the part 2 topics, they would speak for less than a minute, they would have some hesitation, silence, and sometimes they would tell me, Jenny, I don't know what to say anymore. Right? So that's quite common, especially for the first timers. But don't worry, I'm gonna be teaching you how to solve that kind of problem. In this video, you will see the template or the phrases that you can use for you to speak continuously on part 2. Basically, you have something to say already. There are phrases, so all you have to do is add 2 to 3 sentences after those phrases. So let us begin. For example, this is the topic that we have. Describe an item you bought but do not often use. You should say when you bought it, where you bought it, why you bought it, and explain why you didn't often use it. So the first thing that you need to do is that you need to introduce the topic. I've actually made a video already how to begin your answer in part 2, and here are some of the phrases I'm going to talk about, I'd like to talk about, or you can also say to be honest, there's a bunch of blank. That's the main topic. However, the one that really stands out is or was. Okay, so for example, let's just use the more simple one. I'm going to talk about an object that I purchased which I rarely use, and it is my smartphone. So if you remember, the topic was describe an item that you bought. But instead of repeating, I'm going to talk about an item that I bought, let us paraphrase it. You say an object that I bought, you say that I purchased. Okay, so always paraphrase so that you can get a much higher score. If you just repeat the words in the topic, you will not gain points for that. Now moving on to the next step, after you introduce the topic, give 2 to 3 details about the main topic. So how do you say it? You say to tell you more about it, or to tell you more about her or him. If you're going to talk about a time, a place, or an object, of course you're going to say to tell you more about it. If you're going to talk about a woman, you say to tell you more about her. A man, obviously, it's him. So in this case, we are going to use to tell you more about it. Example, to tell you more about it, the name of my phone is ABCD, and it's a quite famous local brand in my country due to its affordability. It has plenty of storage space and a great camera as well. It's actually 16 megapixel, and I think it was a best buy during that time. Alright, so after you say to tell you more about it, you are going to give 2 to 3 details about the main topic. If the topic is about a person, the details would be his name, his age, or physical appearance. For example, to tell you more about him, his name is Tom Cruise. He's one of the most famous Hollywood actors, and he is actually one of the most handsome or good-looking men around the world. So something like that, okay? So now let's move on. After that, you talk about the past. So you can use these expressions. As far as I can recall, as far as I can remember, I think it happened when I was around blank and then years old. Example, as far as I can remember, I bought that smartphone after my college graduation. My father gave me some money as a gift, and I decided to buy a new phone since my phone was a bit outdated anyway. I think I bought it in a gadget shop, which is just a stone's throw away from the Central Mall. Alright? So after you talk about the past, you try to give at least 2 to 3 details about it. Don't just say, as far as I can recall, I bought it when I was in elementary school. You know, that's not enough, and that would be very short. Try to add more details after that. At least 1 more sentence or 2 more sentences. Okay? And then, let's move on to the third step. Try to use discourse markers. So how do you say it? By saying this one. There's a couple of reasons. So this one is flexible and it depends on the topic. So in this case, we are going to use reasons. Because the question was, explain the reason why you did not use it always. So something like that. That was the topic, right? So, and then after that, you say firstly, or first of all and first off. They're just the same. Secondly, or in addition, or you can also say lastly, finally, last but not the least. Example, there's a couple of reasons why I bought that phone. First and foremost, it was one of the latest models during that time. It has a wide screen, the battery can last up to 12 hours without charging, so I thought that it would be useful for me since watching movies is one of my favorite things to do on my phone. Last but not the least, although it was a new one, it was actually within my budget. So I just decided to buy it. I remember I was of two minds during that time, whether I will buy a new pair of shoes or just buy a new one. So after you use the discourse markers, don't just end there. You have to give 2 or 3 more sentences, okay? In short, you have to give background stories, all right? And then after that, okay, you give your feelings about the topic. Why? So that it will sound you more natural. So how do you begin? You can say to be honest, to tell you the truth, or to be frank. So example, to tell you the truth, I barely use it nowadays since I already gave it to my mom and I only use it when I need to upload pictures or download any apps for her. My mom is not a techie person, so I'm doing all the stuff for her. By the way, techie means a person who is good in technology or computers. Alright? So what are you going to do after you give your feelings? You finish your speech. So some students, they just actually keep quiet. I would say that it's not really good. So to be safe, you need to give the IELTS examiner a signal that you're done with your answer. So you can use these phrases. I guess that would be all. Thanks for listening. Or you can also say, that's all I can say. Thanks for listening. It'll make your answer more organized, right? And then the IELTS examiner would know that you are done with, speaking about the topic. Right? So for example, let's have this one. I'm going to talk about an object which I purchased a long time ago. It's something that I rarely use, and it is my smartphone. To tell you more about it, the name of the phone is ABCD, and it's a quite famous local brand in my country due to its affordability. It has plenty of storage space, a great camera as well because it's 16 megapixel. I think it was a best buy during that time. Actually, there were better phones and more famous brands, but they were very pricey, and I just didn't want to splurge my graduation gift on those phones because I think it's not worth it. As far as I can remember, I bought that smartphone after my college graduation. My father gave me some money as a gift, and I decided to buy a new phone since my phone was a bit outdated anyway. I think I bought it in a gadget shop, which is just a stone's throw away from the Central Mall. There's a couple of reasons why I bought that phone. First and foremost, it was one of the latest models during that time. It has a wide screen, the battery can last up to 12 hours without charging, so I thought that it would be useful for me since watching movies is one of my favorite things to do on my phone. Last but not the least, although it was a new one, it was actually within my budget. So I just decided to buy it. I remember I was of two minds during that time, whether I will buy a new pair of shoes or just buy a new phone. To be honest, I was so over the moon when I purchased it. I was so grateful to my dad for giving me money. I barely use it nowadays since I already gave it to my mom, and I only use it when I need to upload pictures or download any applications for her. My mom is not a techie person, so I'm doing all the stuff for her. I guess that's all I can say. Thanks for listening. So there. Alright? So basically, it's 2 minutes. If I have like 5 or 10 seconds left, that's still okay. As long as it's not less than 1 minute and 30 seconds. Alright? So notice that after the template or useful phrases, you are going to give 1 to 2 sentences. So the phrases are there already, here. And then to tell you more about it, you try to give 2 to 3 details about the main topic. Okay? And then after that, you talk about the past by saying, as far as I can remember, the ability to talk about the past, the present, and the future will definitely give you a much higher score. Alright? And then after that, you move on to this. There's a couple of reasons why. And then you say first and foremost. Last but not the least, you just don't give one reason. what I mean, you just don't give one sentence after the discourse marker. You have to give at least 2 sentences more. Alright? You have to give background stories. And in this sample answer, it actually has some idioms. And just like what I've mentioned in my other videos, you can't get band 7 to band 9 without idioms. Aside from speaking fluently, you have to include idioms in your sentences to ensure a much higher score. So what are the idioms that we use here? I've used here, I was so over the moon, which means I was very happy. So instead of saying I was very happy, you can say I was over the moon. Alright? And what else here? Stone's throw away. Instead of saying very close or very near, try to replace it to it. It's just a stone's throw away. Alright? What else? What are the other idioms? Here, I missed this one. Due to its affordability. So it means it's very cheap, right? You can use an idiom here. And it's quite famous local brand in my country. Here, let's replace it. Since it does not cost an arm and a leg. So cost an arm and a leg, it means very expensive. Right? So if you will just put not, so it will mean it's very cheap. Alright? So try to include idioms in your answer. And don't forget to conclude your answer by saying, I guess that's all I can say. Alright? So final tips in part 2. Always remember to avoid long pause. Avoid silence as well, and avoid a lot of hesitations. Don't speak for less than 1 minute. You will surely get a low score. And please remember to speak in a relaxed and in a comfortable way. If you're too nervous, it will affect your performance. Alright? So basically, you have some phrases already. You'll just have to use them, and after that, try to add 2 or more sentences. Okay? So sometimes students would tell me, oh, Jenny, I don't know what to say anymore. But with these useful phrases, you have something to say already. All you have to do is try to speak freely or add 2 or more sentences. Okay? So I think that would be all for today. I hope that you can use the tips that I've gave you or the phrases that I've taught in this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.